Perfect. All great, Panam. We're going home.
Panam Palmer is introduced as a former member of the Aldecaldo's nomad clan, who, after a family dispute, decided to live a more independent life as a mercenary. She later can become a possible romance option for V in Cyberpunk 2077 game.
Panam Palmer was part of the Aldecaldo's nomad tribe who had traveled to the Badlands outside of Night City. Due to her rebellious attitude, she eventually left the tribe and went to Night City working under the fixer Rogue. She paired Panam with Nash Bane to work as a team, but left out that Nash was a Raffen Shiv. They worked together on a few gigs till Panam messed up on Rogue's last assignment after she was betrayed by Nash, who stole Panam's car and the merchandise they were supposed to deliver. When local merc V was looking for ways of finding Anders Hellman, whose AV was assumed would pass across the Badlands, Rogue provided V with the information he needed about their target and also gave them Panam's contact, as she knew she would be the one to help V get to Hellman. After meeting with Panam and confirming she did know the area very well, both agreed to help each other in the spirit of trading favors.
In spite of both leaving the Aldecaldos and being in a persistent conflict with her leader Saul, Panam maintained strong relations with the Aldecaldos and, through dialogue, revealed that she made the decision to leave as opposed to being shunned as initially implied. Though she can be quick to temper and seems keenly motivated by karmic balancing, her primary interest was the well-being of the tribe, for whom she was fiercely focused on making life both easier and safer. So that's the kind of end of established lore canon for Panam, because from there, everything that happens is down to choices made within the game. So what happens next to her, depending very much on whether you go down the romance path, whether you help her with certain tasks, and whether you end up wanting to use her for the final mission, if you like, to Arasaka Tower and to Mikoshi. So there's nothing else lore-wise, although I think we liked Panam, didn't we? We think that she's essentially for like a male V. She seems to be the most natural fit for a romance option and for the ending.
Yeah, she works quite well with V, as I think any life path that isn't corpo, I would say. But even then, I definitely think she's definitely a better fit than some of the other characters. And she's definitely one of those ones where at first it can be hard to tell whether she'd end up being a romance option just because she's not that likable, I guess. But as you go on, she definitely becomes like a trusted ally and friend, and then eventually like more than that. And I think by far she might have the longest like sub-story / side quest mission length, particularly because of just how many are involved in the main quest. I think equal maybe just to Judy, I guess. But definitely, like, there's a lot of care and like attention went into the Panam side stories, particularly because, spoiler alert, I guess, eventually she contributes to one of the potential endings to the game, which I won't go fully into, because again, it's sort of all determined by your V and what choices you decide to make in the game. But she's definitely an important player in Night City by that point.
Yeah, I think you were saying apart from Corpo, I mean, I think even Corpo could suit it, but definitely I think Street Kid and Nomad are the two most likely, but Street Kid in particular, I did my main playthrough as a Street Kid, and it just seemed to fit that, V was this street, as I said, street kid that grew up in Night City and knew the streets well, knew the city well. That was what he thought everything was about. Night City, it was about becoming the biggest merc in town, and then he meets Panam, after already having Johnny in his head, and he only meets her because he's trying to find somebody that can maybe help him get Johnny out of his head, but he starts to fall in love and understood that there's a different way of life almost than just having to be in the city. And the potential ending where you can obviously go off and become a nomad and leave Night City, to me seems like a really sort of poetic justice ending, that and this is obviously massive spoilers for some people that haven't finished it yet. I mean, it has been out for a few months, so if you haven't, then, well, you're also on the wrong channel, so tough, sorry. Yeah. However, the old, part of, even if he has only 6 months to live, and it is actually only 6 months, like, just to be able to live those final 6 months out in, like, fresh air, away from the city, away from all the drama and that, into a clan that is mostly still doesn't have, like, cybernetic implants for the most part, or too many of them at least. I think that's quite a poetic justice ending. And that was definitely the ending that I chose for my B.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a few endings where I do enjoy as well. Again, not going to go into all the endings like in detail here, but I think by far, like far and away, the ending involving Panam definitely, I think, ties the story into a proper, like, conclusive knot, I guess, at the end, where there's only really one, I guess, unanswered thing that is fairly important, but it's up, I guess the whole reason why that's unanswered is because it's up to the player to sort of think what they would prefer to happen, rather than, like, instead of answering the question, it's just which one
it just doesn't need to
make
be
more
answered.
sense. Yeah, it doesn't need to be. It's sort of left out because it doesn't need to be fully explored.
V's story is effectively done, and now it's left open that if they ever want to bring him back for a future game, or as a side character or whatever, or a cameo in a future game, like they can do it, but they don't need to. His story is effectively done, like, or V's story is effectively done. I don't know. I liked Panam as a character. I thought she was quite different to the other characters that you got out of Night City. She didn't seem to have the same troubles. Like, her troubles were that she was part of a clan that had only each other, but she was quite a self-minded, like, strong, I don't want to use that language, but she was quite an independent, character. Like, she kind of had her own ideas and did things her way, and that obviously sometimes came into trouble with the fact that she wasn't the leader of the group, and because they kind of live as a all for one and one for all type mentality, like, it meant that Sol was never happy with it, because other Aldecaldos sometimes had to put themselves in danger to help her. But by the end, he realized that was the way. It was, I don't know. I think it was. She's a good character. She was the choice that I made in my main playthrough. I don't think I'll choose her again in my next playthrough, but I like to play the first playthrough as if I was completely V and not contrived on what I've read online or what I'm trying to get at the end. I'm just playing it more naturally, and this is how I went naturally, and so that speaks a lot to me.
Yeah, I think the ending's really good, because it goes from as I said, and as you said before, it definitely is like poetic justice in the end, where it definitely ties the whole story together properly for both Panam and V. I feel like they both finished their sort of character arcs, and in both cases it leads them to each other and then away from Night City, and I think that just kind of makes the most sense. Like, you spend all this time in the game at Night City and it just keeps, like, beating you both down, and then you both finally realize, actually, like, we can just leave. Let's just go. We've done what needed to be done. Let's completely, like, close the book on the Night City chapter of their lives and just move on. And I definitely I like that a lot. So yeah,
it's the kind of the stereotypical riding off into the sunset.
It is, yeah, that's exactly what it is. But in the best possible way, I guess, because it's definitely like with a new family almost. Like, V lost a lot of family and friends in Night City, and now he's sort of leaving with a new family.
That's right. And with that, we might ride off into the sunset on this video too. Let us know what you thought about Panam in the comments, what ending you got in the comments, and we'll see you in the next Cyberpunk lore video.
See ya.
Hey V, listen, I don't think I'll make it back to camp tonight. Sandstorm's coming our way. No choice but to sit tight and hold it out. Just wanted to say, I know this isn't the first time. That we had plans. Never realized how hard being a chief would be. Always looked so easy from the outside. I'm so lucky to have you, V. You can't even begin to imagine how much it means to me. How time to go. I'll make it up to you. I promise.